Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Trade Talk. This is episode 21, and I'm your host, Niko. I just wanted to quickly let you guys know about our upcoming holiday schedule that we will be having here with Christmas coming up at the end of this month. And to give you a quick update on that, our last scheduled show of this year will be dropping on Saturday, December 21st. And then the following week, if you listen to any of our other shows on the Late Night Chat Network here on SoundCloud, we'll be dropping different types of content, older content during that week, and some pre-recorded content moving into the week of New Year's as well. So check that stuff out if that at all interests you. Otherwise, our first scheduled show back will be on Saturday, just January 4th. And I'm sure I'll be reading a bunch, hopefully, during my period off there for the holidays. In between all of the actual family seeing and food eating that will be also occurring. So hopefully I'll have lots to talk about when we do return. All right, without further ado, though, let's get into the books this week that I wanted to talk about. I read 4 things I wanted to bring up on the show here today for you this past week. First off, not too much to say on this one, but I did want to quickly mention that I finished the series out with this second volume. This is Rock Candy Mountain. This is written by Kyle Starks and art by Chris Schweitzer. This was the story about hobos, essentially, and Rock Candy Mountain being this magical place, this story that the hobos kind of tell and to each other, and basically this was about one of these hobos deal with the devil, and basically how that all plays out. It was a very funny, like humorous, fun story with very cartoony art, and like I had mentioned on a previous episode with Kyle Starks, kind of being one of now the more popular comic writers around. I certainly think he's been making a name for himself in a bunch of creator-owned projects. I think this was good. This was like a little well-rounded 8-issue series. So I heard it was a fun little story. It was. It definitely, you don't really see many comics about hobos or about these times that hobos lived in, and about train hopping and all that stuff, and how hobos used to leave like little signs for one another and stuff like that to know if this was a good territory if they were passing through, from one town to another for hobos. Just things like that, and just the humor that Kyle Starks brought to this story with this cartoony art by Chris Schweitzer really made it an enjoyable read all around. So check it out. It's from Image Comics. It's 2 trade paperbacks that collect the 8 issues. They're 4 issues each. I mean, a little bit on the smaller side in terms of how many issues you normally get in these trades. But yeah, it's a quick little fun read. I definitely suggest checking it out. Next up, we got Outer Darkness. This is another Image series. This is written by John Layman with art by Afu Chan. I guess the best way to describe this is that this is a pretty dark, fucked up version of Star Trek, at least in my opinion. And my one complaint about this book, I'm a fan of John Layman's writing, obviously mostly known for Chew, but he's written a bunch of other enjoyable things as well. And this was good. And I think I'm going to stick with it, but I will say that there is not really one great person to root for in this story. That would be my one complaint. Like, everybody is just like a piece of shit in this book. like the captain is an asshole who takes over this guy who's kind of like got a I guess an unorthodox way of being captain, like the way that he kind of conducts his ship and the way like he treats people. I guess because of maybe some shit that he's been through, because he, I guess, had lost like one of his old crews before, and he doesn't fuck around, and as a result, he comes off kind of like a dick. He gets assigned to some new, some new crew, a new crew on a new ship in this, and basically they all hate him. And there's a lot of mistrust and things going on amongst the crew members themselves. Like, there's a lot of mistrust, and like not everybody is who they say they are, and so like they all have mysterious pasts, and you slowly start to learn about the different crew members as you go through this. Like, there's a couple issues that are dedicated to a couple of them, and then they kind of bring you back into the fold. And in a way, you didn't really, there's so many characters, instead of like just kind of learning about the characters through the story itself, because they've dedicated these moments to it. I will say I also feel at times John Layman fails in actually giving us the proper time with these crew members that we need to kind of learn who they are, but instead is like, usually those flashback moments are good and essential when you got like a better grasp of these characters, or when you actually care about the characters. But I didn't find myself caring about a lot of these people, because like I said, a lot of them are assholes and you can't trust them, and the captain's a dick. So yeah, it was really hard to grasp onto a person. Like, usually you at least need one person that you kind of are rooting for in the storyline, whereas in this, it was kind of just like no one was really nice, or somebody you really wanted to know more about. So, but it's interesting because of the fact that there's so many things going on with all of these people on the ship, and you can't really trust anybody. And the fact that the captain, like, he throws them, for example, into situations where, like, he forces them to go through some, like, quadrant or something, some space area that's very deadly, just to kind of see how his crew kind of deals with this kind of thing and how they would survive in a situation like that. So he like forcefully puts them in danger as some sort of a drill, because he feels that fake drills don't really do it justice for him to learn about his crew members and what they're capable of. So it's just like things like that, and it may not be the right way or what everybody is used to, but he feels that it works for him, and why waste his time with another crew that's just going to die on him after like the tragic events of the last time he was he was a captain. So for another crew. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's definitely got me hooked in the fact that I want to learn more, but at the same time, I could see myself reading the second volume of this and not being as into it, because again, I don't feel I love any of the characters that much, and I don't got a good grasp on a lot of them and their motivations as well, other than like, a couple of them are not what they seem like, and they have these like tainted pasts that's actually going to be bad for everybody on board this ship. So like, for example, without spoiling too much, like there's a guy that like used to be, he's like an alien who's like one of the last of his species, and like on his world he used to be considered a god, but now he's just like the lowly like Mr. Sulu kind of on this ship, and the captain is an asshole, and you can never remember his name, that he has to keep on repeating his name to him like fucking every single time he talks to him, and he just has no respect for him, and like, he just feels that he's above all these people, but yet he's kind of like, not even second in charge to the captain on this ship, and he's kind of just, taking it. But meanwhile, you get this little flashback and you learn about him and who he was with his people, and like just the disdain that he must have for everybody on this ship now. The fact that he used to be like this all-powerful god when his species was actually around still, till they all died off mostly, right? And so like things like that, like it's interesting, and you get these little kind of these moments that are kind of adding to the character, but at the same time, I just don't think we've had much focus on any one thing. It's been bouncing around quite a bit, and this does collect the first 6 issues. So usually by the end of the first arc, you want a little bit of a better handle on things that I feel that we've gotten in this so far. But like I said, there's enough interesting things going on for me to give the second volume a try, so I probably will stick with it. Afu Chan's art I'm not very familiar with. It's very unique. I will say that. It's hard to describe exactly. Something I guess you got to kind of see for yourself, but because I'm having a hard time kind of coming. It's very it's more of an indie art style, let's say that, and but it works. It works. It's very interesting. His character work is very unique looking. It kind of looks like he's a lot of geometrical kind of shapes and weird line work is involved and then like the colors look pastel-y. I don't know who did the colors on this, if he colored his own artwork as well. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna stick with it. It's not bad. Outer Darkness by John Lehman, art by Afu Chan through Image Comics, Volume 1. I think Volume 2 is going to be out very soon. Freak Angels Volume 1. Next up, this is from Avatar, publisher I don't think I've ever talked about on the show. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of their output or lack thereof now. I'm not really sure what's going on with Avatar now. They always got sales going on inside like the Diamond Previews magazine. I only think they're publishing a couple of single titles at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if they went under soon, although I can't claim I know anything about their financial situation. But they've had a lot of, years ago, I guess when they first formed, they had a lot of high-profile creators work over there for them. Warren Ellis being one of them, and he's the writer of this book, Freak Angels, which I'm going to talk about with this artist, Paul Duffield. But I will say that they've had him, they've had Alan Moore, they've had, Jonathan Hickman pitched something over there, Kieran Gillen, Garth Ennis has worked over there. Yeah, I don't think Morrison has. They've had a lot of big names, as you can tell, though. And yeah, Freak Angels was apparently, I guess, originally a webcomic that Warren Ellis had done. And then I think Avatar published it. Probably after the fact. I'm not sure if it was done concurrently, but yeah, this did start out as a web comic from what I can remember. And yeah, I've always kind of known this as being like steampunk-ish, and I'm not usually a fan of that kind of, I guess, genre, if you want to call it that, or like, thing. Like I'm not a fan of that really, and I can't claim to understand everything about it. It just, I feel like that's something I wouldn't enjoy. I've had some elements of steampunk type stuff in some of the things I've read before, and I haven't loved it, so I've just thought I wouldn't dig it. But Warren Ellis is a guy who's got a pretty good track record, and most of the things I've read by him I've enjoyed, if not found at least interesting. And this is something he wrote. Like, there's 6 volumes of this Freak Angels book out from Avatar, and I got all of them dirt cheap. So I was like, okay, why not? I'll pick them up. I'm like talking about like $2 or $3 a volume. I got these for. So it's, like I said, Avatar's having a sale and all of their stuff. So I was like, yeah, okay, why not? I'll try it out for that. For him to have done this much material of this series, this must have been something that he was really into, and he finished it. So Warren Ellis, sometimes I think the things that don't hold up are the things he's not as interested in or that he's abandoned over the years. And this was really good. I like this. About halfway through this volume, I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. The art's okay. This art by Paul Duffield. I'm not really familiar with this work. It's not the best. It's not my favorite style. Sometimes it's awkward looking. And maybe it's because of the format. It was a webcomic, I'm just realizing right now. Maybe that's why. But like a lot of the panel work was very similar. Like every page you're looking at was like a 4-panel page for the most part, except for when he did ones that were like maybe 2 panels per page. So 2 or 3. So very basic. You got nothing more than 4 panels a page. You either got 1, 2, like a full page spread, 2, maybe 2, and then 1 longer one at the bottom. And then you got your basic 4-panel grid here. So that again might be because it was a webcomic, because I know when you convert that to print, it's a little different. But this was good though. I kind of ended up loving the characters by the end of it. Basically, it's about like 12 kids. well, here we go. It says 23 years ago, 12 strange children were born in England at exactly the same moment. 6 years ago, the world ended. This is the story of what happened next. And that's what it says on the back of this trade, and that pretty much sums it up. But the thing that made me really enjoy it by the end is that he has a distinct personality for all of the kids of the 12 that we've met so far. We haven't met all of them by the end of this first volume as of yet, but you met most of them, and almost all of them have like a unique kind of personality to them that sets them apart from the next person. And this is the way to do it in comparison to, like I was just talking about, that Art of Darkness book. Not that everybody felt the same in that, but it's just like by the end of the volume, I already feel like I know all the characters he kind of introduced in this one, and I know a little bit about them, and that's what's got me interested in looking forward to reading the next volume. So Warren Ellis just knows how to do that, and he's a great writer, but that's what I mean, he got me interested in this. So, and that is basically, like, it seems like they all have like sort of like psychic powers, it seems like, and something maybe that they were involved with made that the world, or a lot of people in the world, basically get killed. And that's what they meant by 6 years ago the world ended. And now basically they're kind of just watching over London in this, and they have like some sort of like, you know, like steam, like the reason it's why it's steampunk-ish is because of the technology that they're working with now. Like one of the women in this had like a flying machine that's like, yeah, you know, powered by a propeller, and like and just, you know, different types of like shoddy machinery. Like the front of the actual, like the handlebars is from a motorcycle, you know what I mean, and like the bottom of it is made out of skis. So they basically are making their own type of vehicles and stuff like that. And, you know, they got all this like steam and like, you know, gas and like old like woodwork and stuff that they kind of put into it, and like different types of equipment that they're finding different usages for. So yeah. And then, like I said, they all got powers as well. Like they're all psychic. They're all like connected. They can all talk to each other through their minds. Different siblings have different other additional powers, it seems. So for whatever reason, these 12 children, all in England, all born at the same time, exhibit these powers, and now they're basically using them to protect of what's left of England, while also kind of just like, you know, being out there in the world, making their way through the world, and doing what they do, because like all of them have weirdo like different personalities, most of them. Like one of them's like a sex addict, the other one's like just traveling the world, and he like you know, he's basically abandoned all of them. He's just off doing his own thing. And one of them's like just like a piece of shit guy, like who's just a douchebag, and like I don't know, one of them's like really noble, and they're the ones that watch over the town on this watchtower that they have set up, and like I don't know, just like, I guess those aren't weird personalities, but like some of them are for sure. If you actually read this, and I got to know some of the characters and the funny dialogue that Warren Ellis brings to it, but yeah, they're all pretty unique. And Warren Ellis also did something like this with them being all born at the same time. I think that was like the same thing with the characters in Planetary, if I'm not mistaken, or at least Elijah Snow, and I think other people in it. Like they had said that there was other people that was the same thing as that were born on the same day, as well as he was. Yeah, so like he's done other things I think that feel similar in themes to this book, but yeah, in the same sense, he's able to do like a very kind of English type story, because they're in England as well, and some of the accents and the way that they're talking in this book reflect that as well, but not so much so to take me out of the story, or make me feel like I'm not getting it. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna, I mean, I picked up the rest of the volume, so I might be talking about it again on this show, but this was a pretty good first volume. Like I said, about halfway through, I wasn't sure if I was loving it, but by the end of it, he hooked me, he got me interested in it, and I'm enjoying the characters, and I'm enjoying the world. Last off, we got Thanos, the Infinity Ending. This is written by Jim Starlin, art by Alan Davis. This is the last of the Thanos original graphic novels of 6 different ones that Jim Starlin has brought out with Alan Davis over the last few years through Marvel. This is the last of the second trilogy of original graphic novels that they've done as well. The first being Thanos, the Infinity Siblings, OGN, and then the second one being Thanos, the Infinity Conflict, OGN. This is, like I said, the Infinity Ending. So this is the end of the second trilogy of books he's done. He did another trilogy that was another story prior to these ones. And as you know, with Jim Starlin and his cosmic stuff, if you've ever read any of it or have experienced it, any of them before, this is all kind of somewhat connected. Like, he always kind of does like some wacky through line throughout all of his Thanos stuff, and he brings up and references things from fucking like the 70s that he's done on like his Marvel cosmic stuff, and he always brings all like the different awesome cosmic beings into it, and this one was no different. I mean, that's kind of what this was, and as always, this Thanos story, when it all boils down to it, although this did have a lot to do with his brother Eros, where it kind of started off with the Infinity Siblings, it continued through that. It had Pip the Troll in it, who, you know, he's been in a lot of his older stuff as well too, his Warlock stuff and his Warlock in the Infinity Watch, and the obviously Infinity Gauntlet, and Warlock was a huge part of this as well too. So if you wanted ever to know anything about these characters, I mean, Jim Starlin is basically either the creator of a lot of these characters, or he's the one that's wrote the most of them, probably the most popular stories. It's just weird, wacky cosmic stuff, and it's out there. And Alan Davis on art is not, you know, this is great too. I mean, he's got Mark Farmer on inks. That's normally his inker for most of the work over his career, at least the stuff that's really good that I associate Alan Davis with. So yeah, it is fun. I mean, like I said, Marvel Cosmic. If you're into this kind of stuff, or you're into Starlin stuff, you know, what are you doing? Go out there and get these as soon as possible. These are fun, a lot of fun. I had a great time with these. Basically, in this one, you know, like everything, Thanos just wants to rule overall. By the end of this, he becomes like some omnipotent like being who's basically taken over all of the cosmic beings' powers, and he becomes like, you know, like, and by that I mean like eternity and all that. Like, he basically became eternity. Like, he becomes, and this is more than just collecting the Infinity Gauntlet in this one. Like, he wants to be like everything and everywhere, like the essence itself. It's Thanos, and he accomplishes this in this story. But, you know, somewhere along the way, Warlock, with the help of Pip and his brother Eros, they bounce around time and meet other versions of Thanos, and somehow convince that Thanos to take down the other Thanos. It's all very similar to what you would expect if you've read any of other Jim Starlin's Thanos stories, or a Thanos story in general. It's reminiscent even from some of the stuff that Donny Cates has done in his Thanos run as well. You know, so it's nothing, I would say, new or different from anything that's come before. But if you're a fan of this stuff, or you want to know more about Marvel Cosmic, no one does it better, in my opinion, than Jim Starlin. And like I said, he's been doing it for since like the 60s or 70s or some shit for Marvel. So this was great. And like I said, there's 6 different OGNs. You can collect either one of the trilogies, but with like everything with the Marvel Cosmic stuff as well, I think if you do stick with reading these in the order that they came out in, or even from the first one to the second one, you'll actually it'll add on to the experience. You know, even if you look online, if you were to Google Marvel Cosmic reading order, a lot of people have lists on there that describe how to get through a lot of the Jim Starlin Marvel Cosmic books, and which ones to collect. And because, like I said, he references a lot of things that have happened in the past, and that somewhat tie into a lot of the things that he's still writing to this day. So it kind of just, you don't need to have read a lot of the stuff that comes before, but it just adds to it. So I guess this is, in a way, this is just a big advertisement for Jim Starlin and Marvel Cosmic in general. So definitely check this out, or check out any of his other stuff, because I'm a big fan of all that stuff. It's great. All right, well, that'll do it for today, guys. We'll see you guys next time, and thanks for tuning in as always. Thanks.